The essence of Zen is enlightenment through contemplation of the self and meditation. We have short yet profound sayings and poems that are a delightful collection for any student of Zen. But really, I think dogs are the art of Zen. I live far off in the wild, where moss and woods are thick and plants perfumed. I can see mountains rain or shine and never hear market noise. I light a few leaves in my stove to heat tea. To patch my robe, I cut off a cloud. Lifetimes seldom fill 100 years. Why suffer for profit and fame? Be equal to every hindrance. Buddha attained supreme enlightenment without hindrance. Seekers after truth are schooled in adversity. When they are confronted by a hindrance, they can't be overcome. Then, cutting free, their treasure is great. This body's existence is like a bubble's, may as well accept what happens. Events and hopes seldom agree, but who can step back doesn't worry. We blossom and fade like flowers, gather and part like clouds. Worldly thoughts I forgot long ago, relaxing all day on a peak. I searched creation without success, then by chance found this forested ridge. My thatch hut cuts through heaven's blue, a moss-slick trail through dense bamboo. Others are moved by profit and fame. I grow old of living for change. Pine trees and strange rocks remain unknown to those who look for mind with mind. You're bound to become a Buddha if you practice. If water drips long enough, even rocks wear through. It's not true thick skulls can't be pierced. People just imagine their minds are hard. Summer grasses, all that remains of great soldiers' imperial dreams. An old grave hidden away at the foot of a deserted hill, overrun with rank weeks growing unchecked year after year. There is no one left to tend the tomb, and only an occasional woodcutter passes by. Once I was his pupil, a youth with shaggy hair, learning deeply from him by the narrow river. One morning I set off on my solitary journey, and the years passed between us in silence. Now I have returned to find him at rest here. How can I honour his departed spirit? I pour a dipper of pure water over his tombstone and offer a silent prayer. The sun suddenly disappears behind the hill, and I'm enveloped by the roar of the wind in the pines. I try to pull myself away but cannot. A flood of tears soaks my sleeves. In my youth, I put aside my studies and I aspired to be a saint. Living austere as a mendicant monk, I wandered here and there for many springs. Finally, I returned home to settle under a craggy peak. I live peacefully in a grass hut, listening to the birds for music. Clouds are my best neighbours. Below, a pure spring where I refresh body and mind. Above, towering pines and oaks that provide shade and brushwood. Free, so free, day after day, I never want to leave. Yes, I'm truly a dunce. Living among trees and plants, please don't question me about illusion and enlightenment. This old fellow just likes to smile to himself. I wade across streams with bony legs and carry a bag about in fine spring weather. That's my life, and the world owes me nothing. When all thoughts are exhausted, I slip into the woods and gather a pile of shepherd's purse. Like the little stream making its way through the mossy crevices, I, too, quietly turn clear and transparent. At dusk, I often climb to the peak of Kugami. Deer bellow, their voices soaked up by piles of maple leaves, lying undisturbed at the foot of the mountain. Blending with the wind, snow falls. Blending with the snow, the wind blows by the earth. I stretch out my legs, idling my time away, confined in this hut, counting the days. I find that February too has come and gone like a dream. No luck today on my mendicant rounds. From village to village I dragged myself. At sunset I find myself with miles of mountains between me and my hut.
The wind tears at my frail body, and my little bowl looks so forlorn. Yes, this is my chosen path that guides me through disappointment and pain, cold and hunger.
When I was a lad, I sauntered about town as a gay blade, sporting a cloak of the softest down and mounted on a splendid chestnut-coloured horse. During the day I galloped to the city. At night I got drunk on peach blossoms by the river. I never cared about returning home, usually ending up with a big smile on my face at a pleasure pavilion. Returning to my native village after many years' absence, I put up at a country inn and listened to the rain. One robe, one bowl is all I have. I light incense and strain to sit in meditation. All night a steady drizzle outside the dark window. Inside, poignant memories of these long years of pilgrimage. Master's handiwork cannot be measured, but still priests wag their tongues explaining the way and babbling about Zen. This old monk has never cared for false piety, and my nose wrinkles at the dark smell of incense before the Buddha. He threw the coin into the air, and all watched intently as it landed. It was heads. The soldiers were so overjoyed and filled with confidence that they vigorously attacked the enemy and were victorious. After the battle, a lieutenant remarked to the general, "No one can change destiny." "Quite right," the general replied, as he showed the lieutenant the coin, which had heads on both sides. One reality only, how deep and far-reaching, the 10,000 things, how confusingly multifarious. The true and the conventional are indeed intermingling, but essentially of the same substance they are. The wise and the unenlightened are indeed distinguishable, but in the way they are united as one. Desirous, though, to find its limits, how broadly expanding, it is limitless. How vaguely it vanishes away. Its ends are never reached. It originates in beginningless time. It terminates in endless time. Senza. Song of the Grass Roof Hermitage by Shizhou Jingguan. I've built a grass hut where there's nothing of value. After eating, I relax and enjoy a nap. When it was completed, fresh weeds appeared. Now it's been lived in, covered by weeds. The person in the hut lives here calmly, not stuck to inside, outside, or in between. Places worldly people live, he doesn't live. Realms worldly people love, he doesn't love. Though the hut is small, it includes the entire world. In 10 square feet, an old man illumines forms and their nature. A great vehicle, a bodhisattva, trusts without doubt. He, middling or lowly, can't help wondering, will this hut perish or not? Perishable or not, the original master is present, not dwelling south or north, east or west. Firmly based on steadiness, it can't be surpassed. A shining window below the green pines, jade palaces or vermilion towers can't compare with it. Just sitting with head covered, all things are at rest. Thus, this mountain monk doesn't understand at all. Living here, he no longer works to get free. Who would proudly arrange seats trying to entice guests? Turn around the light to shine within, then just return. The vast, inconceivable source can't be faced or turned away from. Meet the ancestral teachers, be familiar with their instruction, find grasses to build a hut, and don't give up. Let go of hundreds of years and relax completely. Open your hands and walk, innocent. Thousands of words, myriad interpretations are only to free you from obstructions. If you want to know the undying person in the hut, don't separate from this skin bag here and now. The Buddha's essential functioning, Hongzi Zhengzhu. The Buddha's essential functioning, the patriarch's functioning essence, knows without relating to things and illuminates without reflecting upon objects. Knowing without relating to things, its knowing is subtle of itself. Illuminating without reflecting upon objects, Its illumination is mysterious of itself. Its knowing, subtle of itself, is the thought with no discrimination. Its illumination, mysterious of itself, is the sign without the slightest mark, the thought with no discrimination. Its knowing is completed without other, the sign without the slightest mark. Its illumination is revealed without choice. The water is pure and clear to the bottom. A fish swims slowly. The sky is vast and finds no boundary. A bird flies far away. The Song of Zazen by Hakuun Ekaku Zenji. All sentient beings are essentially Buddhas. As with water and ice, there is no ice without water. Apart from sentient beings, there are no Buddhas. Not knowing how close the truth is, we seek it far away. What a pity. We are like one who in the midst of water cries out desperately in thirst. We are like the son of a rich man who wandered away among the poor. The reason we transmigrate through the 6 realms is because we are lost in the darkness of ignorance, going further and further astray in the darkness. How can we ever be free from birth and death? As for the Mahayana practice of Zazen, there are no words to praise it fully. The 6 paramitas, such as giving, maintaining the precepts, and various other good deeds like invoking the Buddha's name, repentance, and spiritual training, all finally return to the practice of Zazen. Even those who have sat Zazen only once will see all karma erased. Nowhere will they find evil paths, and the pure land will not be far away. If we listen even once with open heart to this truth, then praise it and gladly embrace it. How much more so then, if on reflecting within ourselves, we directly realize self-nature, giving proof to the truth that self-nature is no nature. We will have gone far beyond idle speculation. The gate of the oneness of cause and effect is thereby open, and not 2, not 3, straight ahead runs the way, realizing the form of no form as form. Whether going or returning, we cannot be any place else, realizing the thought of no thought as thought. Whether singing or dancing, we are the voice of the Dharma. How vast and wide the unobstructed sky of Samadhi. How bright and clear the perfect moonlight of the fourfold wisdom. At this moment, what more need we seek? As the eternal tranquility of truth reveals itself to us, this very place is the land of lotuses, and this very body is the body of the Buddha. Flowers in Our Eyes by Zhang Zhu. How wonderful! The Buddhas throughout the 10 directions are originally just the flowers in our eyes. And if we want to know about these flowers in our eyes, they are originally the Buddhas throughout the 10 directions. If we want to know the Buddhas of the 10 directions, they are not flowers in our eyes. If we want to know the flowers in our eyes, they are not the Buddhas of the 10 directions. If you can understand this, the Buddhas of the 10 directions are to blame. If you don't understand, those with only hearsay knowledge do a little dance, and those who make up their own enlightenment put on makeup. For children killed in a smallpox epidemic. When spring arrives, from every tree tip, flowers will bloom. But those children who fell with last autumn's leaves will never return. I watch people in the world throw away their lives lusting after things, never able to satisfy their desires, falling into deeper despair and torturing themselves. Even if they get what they want, how long will they be able to enjoy it? For one heavenly pleasure, they suffer 10 torments of hell, binding themselves more firmly to the grindstone. Such people are like monkeys, frantically grasping for the moon in the water, and then falling into a whirlpool. How endlessly those caught up in the floating world suffer. Despite myself, I fret over them all night and cannot staunch my flow of tears. The wind has settled, the blossoms have fallen, birds sing, the mountains grow dark. This is the wondrous power of Buddhism. In a dilapidated 3-room hut, I've grown old and tired. This winter cold is the worst I've ever suffered through. I sip thin gruel, waiting for the freezing night to pass. Can I last until spring finally arrives? Unable to beg for rice, how will I survive the chill? Even meditation helps no longer. Nothing left to do but compose poems in memory of deceased friends. Ryokan. Awake or asleep. Awake or asleep in a grass hut, what I pray for is to bring others across before myself. Although this ignorant self may never become a Buddha, I vow to bring others across because I am a monk. How august, studying the old words of the 7 Buddhas, you pass beyond the 6 realms. A Zen master lived the simplest kind of life in a little hut at the foot of a mountain. One evening while he was away, a thief sneaked into the hut only to find there was nothing in it to steal. The Zen master returned and found him. "You have come a long way to visit me," he told the prowler, "and you should not return empty-handed. Please take my clothes as a gift." The thief was bewildered, but he took the clothes and ran away. The master sat naked, watching the moon. Poor fellow, he mused. I wish I could give him this beautiful moon. When love and hate are both absent, everything becomes clear and undisguised.